102B is ethics, that makes sense, but 102A is epistemology, and that's.
Philosophical inquiry, whatever that is.
We're live, John. I don't know if you wanted to.
It's really.
I mean, it's acceptable.
Let's share.
Yeah, okay, so that answers one of the questions they had.
Yeah.
Do they? Yes. we do.
Yes, every semester, both online, fully online, and fully in person, asynchronous.
Yeah.
In person.
You don't.
All right, we'll call the order.
Pardon?
College council, we'll call the order, college council guys, thanks. 2:36, notice for the minutes. Good afternoon and welcome everyone, and thank you for joining college council live. And for those of you who are online, John Parker, Vice President Administrative Services, Acting President, while President Shabazz is out on vacation, as are our VPs. As we get the roll call here shortly. We appreciate you being here. Our college council, as you know, is the highest level of governance at the campus where we convene all of our leaders to discuss updates and issues. And should you have any items that you would like to bring forth to college council, please reach out to the president's office, President Shabazz, or through Janelle Rodriguez via email, or through your respective representatives on college council. Yes, you had a question. It looks, I see it.
I was just wondering if we actually have quorum.
You know what? We do not. Good question.
I'm 2% today.
You're two people today, but we count as one.
Do we?
Yeah,
Yes.
So we can't make any decisions to.
We cannot.
Don't believe we have any action. So look at all the information.
No, and in the minutes and agenda, I can motion for unanimous consent for those present. Does that work? All right. Thank you all. Thank you for bringing that up. So you know that we do not have quorum. We'll get to roll call here in a minute. Again, should there be any issues or items that you would like to bring forth, please reach out to Janelle, President's office, or your respective representative. First item is approval of the May 30th meeting minutes. You have the opportunity. Pardon me?
are we going to do roll call?
Why don't we do roll call first, because that's item number one. Thank you very much. Item number one, I should go through the roll call. And John Parker sitting in for President Ricky Shabazz. Mona, past president, Academic Senate, is not present. Tilly Chavez, Vice President of Instruction, is not present. Robert Ewell, Chair of Institutional Technology Council, is not present. Cesar Gamapis, Information Officer, not present. Jay Brunel, Supervisory Representative, SPA. Aki. Suna, President of Chairs Cabinet. Aki, President. Susan Murray, Dean, Institutional Effectiveness and Chair of IMPRA.
Present.
You still calling that IMPRA?
No, we're not.
Okay. Well,
City planning.
City planning.
yes,
Should fix
thank
that.
you. We'll make that correction. Masa, Admin Representative. Presented. And Diego, President, ASG.
Present.
John Parker, President, and President. Marciano Perez, not present. Sean Ryan, President, Classified Senate.
Present.
Maria Jose Zelda Perez, she will be proud of me for pronouncing that hopefully correctly. President of Academic Senate is not present. That is item number one. Thank you, Susan. Dr. Murray, for the roll call. Yes.
Said we were set for two people who already.
Well, Tilly.
For Tilly?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Now we will move to item number two, approval of May 30th meeting minutes. If you've had the opportunity to review, since we don't have quorum, if there are no corrections to the minutes, I will motion to approve with unanimous consent if there are no discussion of meeting minutes from May 30th. Any discussion? council? No discussion? I will motion to approve May 30th meeting minutes. Unanimous consent for those present. Overview, item number 3, overview of the college's hiring process. You'll note in your package that we do have a revised hiring and screening committee process. It is still in draft mode, and from the last meeting, we've incorporated some of those suggested changes and edits into the hiring and screening committee process. That is correct. Janelle, those from the last meeting are incorporated into this, correct?
So essentially what we did is simplify the document.
Okay.
And with the simplification of the document, what we did is we referenced the overall faculty hiring summary in the appendix, and also noted in addition to the hiring process. You'll see it on the first page. On page 3, above the last paragraph, that portion was added to about the process following the submission of the position justification form for clarification. Those were the only modifications to the hiring process, outside of removing the combination of several documents. That's essentially what we did. We
Okay,
simplified
yeah.
the document and referenced it.
Right. And it is simplified based on what I saw initially and what we viewed previously. So good job there, members. Any discussion for council here regarding the hiring screening committee process? We don't need to go through this, please, at your leisure. Go through, and if there are any suggestions, edits, or changes, you may bring them forth. And there's no action item for the hiring process for today. Informational. Very well, we'll move on to item number 4, timeline for mission review. Dr. Murray.
Yes, this is in the packet, and there is also a slide. This was a project that we initiated here in College Council last year. We had a campus forum, we had a student forum, we had online input. We gathered a lot of information and then just kind of ran out of time to process it any further. So after consulting with Ricky, bringing you an updated version of the timeline, our initial team with some folks from the group that set up the feedback forums and some folks who volunteered to participate after attending one of those forums, is going to convene for the first time later this week. Our goal is to have a draft to share with the campus in August, so that it can circulate and be approved by constituency groups in September, to College Council at the second meeting in September, and be finalized prior to the October Board of Trustees meeting, which is one that's usually held here on the city campus. So this is how we are planning to proceed, and since this group initiated that process, just wanted to bring that here. Any comments or questions?
No comments, just making sure I found the June this month, finalized August, I'm assuming towards the end of August. Give us as much runway as possible. Okay. Approval at the end of September for October. No comments. Other than that, anyone else? Very well, thank you, Dr. Murray. You also have item number 5, guided pathways work plan.
Yes, and there is also a handout on that. This is a requirement that we received from the State Chancellor's office. And we were told last fall that this would be coming, but there were multiple delays And by the time we received the format, it was April. And the deadline for submission was June. I think it's maybe a little bit of a misnomer to call this a work plan. What I did in this slide is try to summarize the format that we were given. And there were essentially two major sections in the plan. The first section was metrics, and those metrics are the student journey metrics. They paralleled exactly what went into the equity plan, but we're looking at our student data at each of these phases in the process from enrollment to completion and transfer. And we were asked to look at our overall data and as well as the data that we used in the equity plan and the local goals that we set. So that hyperlink down at the bottom of the page is the link to the student success metrics dashboard provided by the state that has our college-wide data on all of these metrics. And then we had the disaggregated data to identify groups that were experiencing disproportionate impact for each of these metrics, which went into the equity plan from last fall. And then looking at each of those and looking at the data for each metric, we were asked to estimate sort of how far along we are. Are we just starting? Are we around halfway? Are we close to completion in terms of where we want to be? And we, for everything, pretty much indicated that we were making progress, but we were not where we intended to be as a final result. We were asked to identify barriers, identify actions that had already been taken, and future priorities for action, specific equity considerations, again, those disproportionately impacted student groups, and then how this would be supported through our continuous improvement cycles. So that was about half of this 30+ page document. The other half focused on integration between guided pathways and these other initiatives and efforts that the State Chancellor's Office is putting forth. So similar format, we were asked to estimate progress, identify challenges, identify things that we had already done and what we anticipated for the future, and what measures or data we would be using to evaluate our progress, since those are not built into the state data reporting the same way that those student journey metrics are. So we consulted with other folks at City who are working in each of these areas to address these sections. This, because of the timing and because there were no required approvals or sign-offs to the plan before it was submitted, and in order to meet the deadline, which ended up being June 15th or 16th, in order to be incorporated into the state's report, the Chancellor's Office report to the legislature, with information presented to Academic Senate and discussion with President and Executive Cabinet, we went ahead and submitted a plan so that it was in time for the deadline. And we'll put a copy of the full document in the theme site that we've created for all of our guided pathways public documents. So this was different than anything we had been asked to address for guided pathways previously. This is our, I think, 5th year reporting something for guided pathways, and about every other year it has changed substantially. So no word yet on whether this is, or how far into the future this is going to hold, but the time frame that we were given and the last round of funding that has been awarded is supposed to carry through the spring of 2026. So that is as short a summary as I can make it of what all went into that process. If you want to look at all 30 some pages, we are happy to share it. And as I said, we'll post it where folks can access it, but that is the update on what we have submitted for what the Chancellor's Office requested as a guided pathways work plan.
Any questions for Dr.? Thank you very much for that abridged but comprehensive explanation regarding guided pathways work plan. Item number 6 is the,
Actually, I'm sorry, I do have one question.
yes,
I have heard two different things, that we are now calling it ACP and that we are calling it student journey. That been decided, did I miss that?
It has not,
Thanks.
no decision yet.
All right, thanks.
I think we are aiming for that. Submitted to the district around in early August. So we'll be following.
Thanks.
thank you. Item number 6 is the CIA or C budget setup, the P being the P, which the P being programs, student equity achievement program. Thank you, awesome. These are the budgets that will be loaded for triple SP or C now, equity and basic skills. I can tell you that these 3 items as presented are pretty much tantamount to prior year or current year, but we're speaking future tense for this budget since it's fiscal 23-24. So it is consistent with the current year or prior year by the time that it's loaded. You may have had the opportunity to read. Thank you for bringing that up, Janelle. Blow it up a little bit for those who are spreadsheet savants or just have an affinity for numbers. As we do, this is what will be loaded. You may have read the trailer bill, the release trailer bill, and the acting Chancellor Smith's update regarding the state budget and the implications that it has on the district and the college. We will be funding, fully funded for the COLA of 8.22%. However, there will be some give back in certain areas and in 2 areas in terms of COLA that will be CETA and strong workforce, as the Chancellor outlined. Those 2 categorical programs will not receive COLA increases for this fiscal year. In the same regard, the state COVID block funds, which were initially cut tentatively, and anyhow, this was the preliminary discussion. They will not be cut for the fiscal year, so it will be funded for state COVID-19 block funds. Will go back in the adopted budget, and that goes back. And right now, as of today, the adopted budget does not include it because we were planning for the worst. However, of course, we still do have a couple of months to lower the adopted budget before it goes to the board for approval mid-September. Any questions regarding the budget loads for SEEP funds? There are a lot of numbers, and the Chancellor's update, District Chancellor, that is, acting Chancellor Greg Smith, that he sent out just after 12 o'clock this afternoon. And with various charts and numbers in there, if you have an opportunity and if there are questions in the future, I will probably be providing more updates at each meeting, but if there are any questions or items to bring forth to future college council, please reach out to your representatives or to Janelle. With that, on item number 7, top 7 positions moving forward with recruitment, I would like to table this item as I realize that the chart that's included in the packet, which contains the top 7 positions, is an old chart, and we have not had the opportunity. That's on exec, because we haven't had the opportunity to review this in recent cabinet meetings. So once we convene on Ricky's return from vacation, we will provide an updated list of top 7 positions moving forward with. Item number 8, update on governance handbook. Is that you again?
That is me again.
Okay,
And we have, this is just kind of a progress update. We approved this and discussed the draft in detail a couple of meetings ago. There are still a few edits that we are tracking down. But in this version, pass it down, you can see the design and where that is headed. We're still working on the trying to have each of the charges for the major councils that report to college council be as consistent as possible. We have added the information from the constituency groups, Academic Senate, ASG, Classified Senate, SPA. And I think there are just a couple of things, I think there's a couple things in red font in there that we are tracking down to be sure that it's the most current information. So the target is to have this ready to distribute before convocation. And then we can get back onto our cycle of annual review and updates.
very well, thank you. It's been a lot of
It
work.
has been a haul.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it was a Herculean task.
Yes,
It is nice to get it to this point and
appreciate
know
you
that we
shepherding
can
this process.
include this as evidence with our accreditation report and
Yes.
that we will be following this model. And I think that one of the last pieces that will come forward to sort of fill out the picture now that we have the handbook and the documentation piece finished is that we had planned to do some professional development and training for committee leaders on recommended committee practices. And we still want to do that at the start of the fall semester. And then I know Academic Senate is working on the idea of not only getting current on faculty appointments to committees, but making sure that in the spring before the academic year ends, there is a review of who's rotating off committees so that those can be restaffed and that they're ready to go in the fall. That's been one of the things that held us up in the past is that the committee would convene and you would realize that a third of your membership had rotated off and then it would take until October to get those seats refilled.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions, comments?
I have a quick question, not regarding the governance handbook, but regard to item 7 with the motion to table the item. Do we need a second for that motion? I'm not sure, just for a minute purposes, because I know that during the last meeting when we tabled the handbook, there was a second of the motion, or were we motioning like we did for the approval of the meeting minutes for the consensus?
Or are you just pulling that from the
I'm
agenda?
pulling it, is that a modification?
Let's do the latter. Let's do the latter. Just.
Don't confuse me.
Yes, no, it's a valid question. So for those who may be parliamentarians at the table, I don't know that I can motion unanimous consent for the agenda item.
Just do it.
Yeah, other than the minutes and the agenda. So if we can pull.
Okay.
So are you the resident parliamentarian? Is that what you're saying?
No, but no, we cannot, actually, we can't carry out any business of any sort.
Yeah,
So that's a business, so.
So we will,
Okay.
thank you for clarifying. On to item number 9, agenda planning, standing items for July 5th meeting. We have an item classified retreat, you can see it on the bus. I heard us very well, so that'll be a standing item. And for August 8th. Okay, August 8th meeting, yes.
Yeah,
August
so we're only having one meeting in July.
Yeah.
Which is on the 25th, and
8th.
then
Yeah,
it will fall again.
yes, and it will be Thanksgiving the following weekend.
Something like that.
Just around the corner.
Yes, no, I'm sorry, I feel like we were robbed of summer. Or spring at least, not summer. Any other items, so item number 9, are we wanting to add any standing items for those 2 meetings?
Any proposals for items? I do want to note that, like John Parker mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, if you are planning on presenting at College Council, please contact one of the people within College Council. If you are reaching out to the president's office, please be sure to not only reach out to myself, but also to Ellie. Because following the August 8th meeting, she will be taking over my role in this. So she, with helping with College Council, so it's important that she also gets those communications so that we can ensure all agenda items are on future College Council meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. No proposals? Yeah, this is the Easter group, I like this. All right, before we adjourn, any updates from our members of College Council?
Yes, this is Sean with Classified Senate. We will be presenting at the next College Council. We had a very successful all classified professionals retreat, and I wanted to graciously thank and recognize the executive team, Ricky's office, John's office, Marciano and Tilly for supporting this endeavor. I wanted to also thank the managers and supervisors for being able to work with your service areas and allow participants that wished to participate to come. It was a very successful and well-attended event. And we'll be bringing it here to College Council at the next meeting. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other items from members? Before we adjourn, I do have to say, I like the idea, Diego, of College Council members wearing a jacket to the College Council meeting. That jacket's so nice. It's a lot, so I appreciate you wearing that, always representing at every event. With that, it was good seeing you all. Thank you for attending. We will see you at the next meeting scheduled for July 25th. Meeting is now adjourned at 3:04.